Good evening, Norcal Karters, and welcome to our live stream. It is Friday, December 17th, and tonight we have a couple special guests on. We have Oliver Calvo, and we have Greg Bell. They will be joining us at 8 o'clock. And the one pushing me around to get all this content going for you in this new format is Ashley. She will also be joining us. Actually, I can bring Ashley in. Do you want to come in now, or do you want to come in at 8? I'm going to bring her in right now. There, you're in.
Hey.
This is Ashley. She's been helping me out the past couple of weeks, getting more content going and doing the live stream stuff. So, again, Greg Bell and Oliver Calvo, they will be on at 8 o'clock as promised. In the meantime, we have a Prairie City karting calendar. So, official dates for Prairie City. I'm going to run through them really quick. They're going to be on the website in the next couple of days anyhow, norcalkarters.com. Click on the events tab. But let's see here. I'm going to do the 206 weekends first because Donald is going to do the 206 and the two-stroke weekend separate again. He felt it worked out really well for the participants. And let's get to it. So March 5th and 6th is going to be 206 race number 1. April 16th and 17th will be 206 race number 2. May 28th and 29th, 206 number 3. And then we have July 16th and 17th. That will be 206 race number 4. Race number 5 will be in August 6th and 7th. And race number 6 for the 206 classes, September 3rd and 4th. And then 206 race number 7, October 8th and 9th. And the final 206 race at Prairie City will be on November 5th and 6th. So again, Donald's going to do that split format again. 206 one weekend, two-stroke on another. The two-stroke dates. The first one is going to be April 30th and May 1st. That'll be two-stroke race weekend number 1. Race weekend number 2 will be June 11th and 12th. Then July 23rd and 24th will be race number 3. And then two-stroke race number 4 will be September 17th and 18th. Race number 5 for the two-strokes, October 22nd and 23rd. And the final two-stroke race will be November 12th and the 13th. So that is the latest schedule from Donald Durbin at Prairie City Karting. And again, you can go to norcalkarters.com to find all the schedules as they come out. And speaking of schedules, we did the Rock Sonoma schedule. We already did that one a couple of weeks ago, but if you missed it, March 19th and 20th, race number 1. Race number 2, April 23rd, 24th. Race number 3, May 28th and 29th. Race number 4, June 18th and 19th. Race number 5, July 30th and 31st. Race number 6, August 20th and 21st. Race number 7, September 24th and 25th. And once again, the final race of the year will be a doubleheader with race number 8 and race number 9. And that will be on October 15th and 16th. So those are your updates. And also Blue Max Kart Club, January 15th. Blue Max Kart Club, January 15th is going to have a swap meet. So it'll be free to sellers and free to buyers. January 15th, swap meet, Blue Max Kart Club. And without further ado, let's bring on our special guests. So first we'll have Oliver Calvo.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And who's your team boss?
My team boss is the one and only Greg Bell.
All right. There he is.
What's up, guys?
How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing fine.
All right. Thank you for joining us tonight.
How's everybody else doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm doing really well. I think everybody's doing good. So let's get to it. Oliver, I know nothing about you. Like I really don't. And it's like, and Ashley is like, how do you not know who Oliver is? Like, I go, I don't know. I guess we just really haven't crossed paths, and so this is a great opportunity for me to get to know you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you been karting?
I started when I was 5, and then since then I don't know. I raced in NorCal until 2012, 2013, and after that I kind of stepped out and moved up into the regional series from the Pro Kart Challenge, and then moved into the Pro Tour, and ever since I've been running SCUSA since, and traveling to some select other races across the United States. So I've been doing it for a while, and it's
Reno KPX,
nice.
one of them.
Yeah.
Did you say Reno KPX?
Mm-hmm.
Just that one?
This last year, yeah.
Oh, just last year. Okay. So yeah, it's someone brought your name up to me a couple months ago, and I don't know if they tagged me in a post because I think you had a pretty good run this year, or over the past couple of years you've been pretty solid. And we'll let you get in your kind of your background. And my first thought was, why am I going to cover a guy from SoCal? Like, this is Norcal Karters. So where are you from?
I'm from Stockton, California. So I've lived here my whole life, and I've been racing out of NorCal for a while.
Yeah, Stockton's definitely NorCal. I mean, you're 20 minutes south of me. So
Tell us some of the NorCal tracks that you've raced at, Oliver.
I mean, I raced at all of them. I raced at Dixon, Davis, Outwater, Prairie City. I've done some races at Reading. I think that's it. I think that's all the NorCal tracks. Might be forgetting one.
Track is Stockton.
Oh yeah, Stockton too. I didn't do much racing there, but I have raced there a little bit.
Okay.
So you said you started when you were 5. How old are you now?
I'm 18 now.
18. So that puts you freshman of college?
Yes, I'm a freshman in college.
All right. So what are you studying in college?
Right now I'm studying psychology and brain sciences.
Oh, geez. I just lost this interview.
He's crazy.
So not mechanical engineering or anything else?
No.
Psychology.
Yeah.
What kind of games are you going to play with your competitors now on the grid that you're doing psychology classes?
I'm not sure. We'll leave that onto the track. That's where I like to play my games.
You're not going to walk up to them and just have some weird sentence or some weird motion to get in the back of their subliminal mindscape?
No, I haven't learned those yet. Maybe in the future.
Let's see.
All right. Tell us, Supernats. What happened from the beginning?
Supernats was a pretty good week. I mean, we unloaded with a lot of pace. We were top 3 in every single practice session besides the last session. Transponder didn't work, and then I ended up being in the slower part of the fast group in qualifying because they basically split into A, B, C, D groups, and I was in C. And my qualifying lap kind of got halted by some other slower drivers, and I qualified 12th, I think, overall, and it led me to start 6th in all my heats. I finished 3rd, 8th. I got a penalty, got moved back to 14th. So that kind of ruined my starting spot for Sunday. And then I finished 5th in the last heat. I started 13th, I think, or 12th or something for the final. And I got off to a good start. We were running inside the top 10. And I had some contact in front of me, and I couldn't avoid it. So I went back to last. And I got out the cart. Like, I thought my race was over, and I was just going to go into the pits. But I was like, you know what? This might be my last race for a while, so I'm going to keep driving. And I kept driving, and, next I'm running, like, I don't know, maybe 25th after. The red flag comes out. I get a really good restart. I'm already inside the top 10, and I just kept my head down the whole race, didn't give up. And I crossed the line 3rd, but I had a penalty. Moved me back to 8th, I think, which isn't that bad, but it was still an improvement from where I started. But I wish I stayed on the podium because that would have meant a lot. But I know I had a good run, and I was happy with the performance and speed we had all week.
That's awesome. Okay, leading up to the main event. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Tell us from your perspective, how crazy was the drama?
What do you mean as in the drama? Just like on the track or? Yeah,
Morgans and all that stuff.
Well, a lot of those guys are all my friends, all those guys that are really fast, all the younger kids. I like to race against them. We all race with some kind of respect. But when the helmets go on and nobody's friends on the track, you
Yeah.
give it your all. You race them as clean as possible. Some things might happen, then you guys might crash each other, like some of my friends did in the final. But everybody, we like to race each other with respect, and we try to. And that's just how it goes. Sometimes people bump heads, and that's just how racing goes.
I think that's the biggest misconception of pro racing is that so many think it's rough, and these kids, especially who he's talking about, that they hang around with each other and whatnot. I mean, they race each other hard. I mean, it's not with no respect. That's just how hard they race, and they're getting they're getting into each other as hard as they can without causing a drop down or something like that. And I hear so many people talk about how Scoose is rough and how this and that, and I just think that reality is a lot of things that happen leading up to that level of racing was probably just managed a little too much, and they don't let the kids learn a skill to where they can race hard like that and still have respect for one another.
Yeah.
Some things happen when he said he got pushed back to 8th, and unfortunately it was with a really good friend of ours, and it wasn't personal. It was going through the field, and some stuff happened, and he got into no drop down, but still enough to where the officials thought it was too rough. And I think that's that's the misconception a lot of people have, is that you go to a SCUSA event like that at that level, and it should still be patty cake racing, and it's not. It's skills racing,
Yeah, I 100% agree. The level of competition is a lot higher at that level.
Yeah.
And all those kids are laughing at each other after they get off the racetrack. There might be a little bit of anger, but it goes away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a little bit more like competitive because it is your friend. It is somebody that you're cool with. So you're like, come on, dude, like, how far I can go. And then they're like, you're my homie, but so
There's a big respect between all those kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, a lot of times too, it comes down to finesse.
No.
Like the top drivers, they have the finesse. And as you guys are talking, I'm trying to remember. There's a phrase that Ryan Norberg has been using on Kart Chaser, and it basically he's talking about moving people out of the way. But he says it with such finesse of, I'm gonna help them find the wide side of the line or something.
Help them off the racetrack, I think.
Help them off the racetrack.
I think that's what he says.
Yeah, but he says it with just such finesse, and it's like, well, that's like a direct correlation to the racing on the track. I mean, you go local, and it's so hard to find solid, hard competition locally without getting driven into.
Yeah.
Because guys like you, Oliver, you end up going to Pro Kart, you end up going to Pro Tour, etc. So that talent kind of leaves the area. You lose that finesse and that harder racing even at the club level, because the guys like you aren't out there to kind of show the way around and show people how it's done.
Yeah.
Well, they're stopped pretty quickly at the club level, Jason.
At some places they are, but there's also when you're going through you're exiting a corner and you get T-boned, you get blown off the track.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, there was zero finesse or thought in any of that.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, unfortunately, or fortunate, because I think there's a place for everything. And I think as you progress through, Kid Kart Cadet, Junior 2, those all need to be really clean racing. Although when you get to the pro level racing, Pro Kart, Pro Tour, you're going to get roughed up a little bit until you find your balance, and I think it's unfortunate in Northern California that we've gone so clean, I guess you want to say it. I mean, it's good racing, but
I would use the word
it doesn't really set you up for what you're going to find out at the big races.
Yeah. If that is your goal, I would agree. And
well, I mean, if you're at that race, Jason, you've already spent $10,000 to get there, and that's going to happen. So if you're not prepared for it, it's going to be a shock.
I agree. Event too.
So I think that's unfortunate a little bit. I think that the higher level racing, it needs to be a little bit, and even at the club, like when I say like latter junior year, senior year, when they, just need to teach them a little bit more skill,
Yeah, I always found it interesting, at least for, I don't know, the past 10, 15 years, the shifter guys, they tend to really regulate themselves.
They have a lot of respect.
They have a lot of respect. You can't say they drive harder. It's a different driving style. So it's not fair to compare a tag driver to a shifter driver because both are driving hard, but they're different. No. But I remember a lot of the shifter guys griping about the pushback. It's like we don't crash into each other, and if we do, it's because it's a pile up. It's not because that's how we race.
Well, I think what happens there, and the reason they're saying that is that, with a single speed deal, everybody gets on the gas pretty much the same time coming off the corner.
Yep.
When you're having a gearbox deal, you can miss a shift a little bit and get into something. The guy behind you is going to get into you because they're going through the shift, and all of a sudden you have a drop down. So it's really not fair in that situation because you have 5 of those every corner you come off of, to where if there's a little misshift, ruins your race.
Yeah.
I think, So.
And I think, and on the flip side of it, with the gearbox, it allows you to be more aggressive, dive bombing. You can screw up a little bit and say, okay, well, I have a gearbox to get me out of this for the next corner or two. Whereas a tag or a Briggs, or you're not going to slide job a guy thinking, oh, I might make it. It's like, you got to be pretty committed. I'm going to make this pass. I'm going to get in there. And if you mess it up, well, now you just lost 3, 4, 5 corners.
Correct.
Before you even get back up to speed.
That's right.
So Oliver, how do you like the temporary tracks?
I've always found good success at them. I think they prevail, like for me, like as an aggressive driver and a driver with not many fears, like I prevail a lot on the street courses and temporary tracks. A lot of the kids, like younger kids that I've worked with, are always scared of the walls and the barriers, and then they don't want to push the limits. But I don't know. I don't have that fear, so they're pretty fun for me. I do enjoy them. I do enjoy them a lot.
Now, how tall are you?
I'm 5'5". I'm not tall.
You're 5'5". You're not real tall. Okay, so it's not like you have a height advantage.
No.
Where you can see around a barrier a little differently than somebody else. It's
no.
You just think it comes down to you just have no fear on the track, and
you gotta have balls to race on a street track. So.
That's very true. And Greg, how do you approach it? You go all over the country.
Yeah.
How do you approach when you roll out of the trailer, street race or not, track you've never been to? What is your mindset as a team owner on, okay, this is how we're going to approach this weekend?
We go into it as it's just like a track that we test out every single day. I mean, standard setup, and you vary off of that. So that doesn't really change too much. A lot of teams, a lot of drivers freak out, and Oliver was this way early on working with me. They freak out about getting a setup right for session 2 of day 1. I'm like, you just need to chill out and just get comfortable because it's coming. And I'm not one of those guys that push a lot to figure out how to go fast on a green track, because I know for experience that when it's time to get serious, the setups that we have are going to be fine. And so the most of our stuff at that point is, having the older kids like Oliver and Danny and Roman and his brother Dalton, all of the upper level drivers really try to work with the younger kids to get them more comfortable and learn, with video review and a little bit of data and whatnot. So they can have more of a calmness to them, because that's really, like Oliver said, I mean, a lot of kids can't react quick enough to a temporary course, and especially when they're kind of in a tunnel, when they're inside the barrier. It just takes a little bit of confidence building, and who better to do that than the upper level drivers on the team.
So, Greg, a question came in for you. How tall is Greg Bell?
In my prime, 6'4". I might be 6'3.5" now.
6'3.5".
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Do you have any takeaways from Vegas Oliver? Like things you'd work on for next year, or like things you're looking forward to, or
We're on the street as you're quitting.
Well, before the event, I thought I was gonna quit. You know, I wanted to focus on school more, and then after my drive in the final, I went from last to third. I was like, "There's no way I'm quitting." Like that was just way too good of a drive. Like this is probably like one of the best drives I've put together in all of racing. So, you know, I was very excited and still am. I think it was a very good drive, and I want to keep racing. I want to do
Why
some
was
of
it
the big
such a good
stuff.
drive? Let's talk about that a little bit. What did we work on this race that created
tell
a
us.
betterment?
Well, Greg's been working with me all year on like patience and just like trying to keep my nose clean and make passes at the right time, just to be smart. And I think it worked pretty well in the final. I feel like I positioned myself in the right spots at the right times, and you know I know when to. I also feel like my racecraft has improved a lot since I've joined the team, and so that also helped me. And the last 3-4 lap battles, and everybody's blocking. I think I'm able to kind of maneuver my way around because I have some more racecraft than some of the people in front.
Agreed. He turned the brain on this weekend or that
Yeah.
weekend.
That's awesome.
So
That's
going-
Normally we go out and we'll have a brand new go-kart, and you know every Pro Tour race we go to, Ben and I have had him on a brand new go-kart, and you know, new graphics, and by session 2 we're putting a new nose on it. Graphic kit's junk. By first race of the of a heat race, go-karts on the table, we're straightening it, you know, and I'm just like, what are you doing? we raced the main event. All this other stuff just play.
yeah.
Oh, guy, you know, and it's like, you gotta calm down, just breathe, man. Don't stress out about going forward.
You'll always catch Ben Calvo at the straightening table.
Yes,
Always.
well, not on not where we like to be.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I forgot what class you ran. You ran cadets? If you're always at the chassis table?
No, the seniors. Everybody's always crashing, and you know sometimes I'm the one crashing. I'll be getting into crashes. But that was earlier this year. Towards the end of the year, I've definitely calmed down with crashing. Like
He's matured a lot, and he has different respect for everybody that's there for him, for sure. It's
as
good.
I've gotten older, I've kind of realized how much actually really goes into the sport, and everybody, like all the heads behind the team and everybody on the team, always just wants you to succeed. I don't want to be the guy crashing and like breaking stuff all the time and having everybody hustle around my go-kart to make sure I make it onto the next track, or the next track session, just for me to do it again. So I've tried to calm down.
And it proved. I mean, he takes a go-kart from 46 because he got sidelined as well. Like none of the penalties would have happened if he didn't get smoked in lap 4, right?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we got a penalty. But at the end of the day, you recoup, and next race, we're going to unload stronger. That's the way it is.
No, I agree.
So Oliver, you were saying going into Vegas, you were thinking this was your last race, or did those thoughts pop in your head while you were down there?
No, going into the weekend, I was thinking that it was going to be my last race. I already had told my parents, like, I want to focus on school. I don't know how much racing I want to keep doing, but that kind of all went away once the racing actually started.
Thank God he's taking psychology, because he's a little bit of a head case himself.
That's going to be interesting, though. So, where was your mindset? You're showing up to Vegas, which I'm assuming for you last year or this year, that's the biggest race for most racers here in the States. And you're thinking to yourself, man, this might be my last race for a while. How did you kind of just get through the weekend with that mindset?
I just wanted to do the best for the team and for my parents, because they've done a lot for me. And since I've been racing, and since I've joined Greg, they've helped me so much, and I wanted to go out with a bang. I wanted to try to do the best I could going into the weekend. And, I think we did that. I think we proved the speed that we have, and I'm very happy with how it went, even if I don't leave there with the trophy. Yeah, the program's there, the driver's there. We got to fix some little things.
So at the end of the weekend, you're thinking, oh, okay, I guess I'm not gonna focus on school?
I came off the track and I told my dad, like, I said this is the last time I was going to do this, or at least I was going to take a break. And I told him, I was like, after that, no, I'm not taking a break. I want to come back. I'm ready to keep going.
Now, did you feel like it was because you had something to prove, or was it a lot of fun? Were you just proud of how you drove? What was going through your head when you came off the track?
When I came off the track, I was nothing but smiles. Even if I had a third place and I didn't leave there with the trophy, I was just very happy and proud of the way I drove. It was one of my best drives. I was happy about it, and I just couldn't be more excited to keep going. I still feel like we have something to prove. I think the program's there. We haven't gotten like a big win yet, and I think it's coming.
Okay, so what does 2022 look like for you?
Hopefully I can do the Pro Tour races. It depends on how my schedule lines up for next 2 quarters. And I also want to do some USPKS races. Maybe I can do some one-offs, just a few of those select races, whatever fits into my schedule. And the Supernats, obviously, that's always going to be there.
Very good. And then what class do you run?
This year I ran a mix of KA Senior at the regional stuff and at Supernats, and at the Pro Tour I ran X30 Senior. But next year I want to focus on just X30 Senior. I want to race against the big guys and really prove myself more. So that's the plan.
Got it. And then for those that are listening that, are kind of asking themselves the difference between a KA or a X30, from a driver's perspective, the pros and cons of each package.
Well, the KA is very pack racing. I would say it's a lot of, you got to carry the momentum. It helps. I think if you're just getting into senior ranks, I would start in the KA and really develop the racecraft and figure out how to really drive, carry all the momentum. And once you can figure out all that stuff, the racecraft, and then you can move up to the X30 class. That's where all the big dogs are, the guys who have been doing it forever. Those are the best in the United States to racing the X30 Senior. That's who you want to race against. You race against the best to get better.
Absolutely. And Greg, as a shop, it's how do you approach how you put someone in a cart? Let's say Oliver walks in your shop tomorrow, little bit of experience, but you have the option between a 206, a KA, or an X30, or even a Vortex GP if we're going the Vortex route.
So when it's kind of tough in NorCal. If it was all we did is Pro Kart Pro Tour, then it's all IAME stuff, and then start here. NorCal has the 206 program. I think probably one of Donald's biggest classes, hands down, is 206. So I always ask people like, where are you from, and what do you want to do to begin with? And like, oh, we want to race Prairie City. It's like, okay, well, this is the program that we put together for you there. And once you start getting once the 206 feels like it's not fast enough for you, then we go to KA100, or turn around and if we're up at Sonoma is just a hard deal for some reason, because those guys don't really travel anywhere past I-80 corridor, and then it's really too expensive for a lot of the NorCal regulars to go race up at that track. Not really because of the entry fee or anything. It's the most beautiful track we have, hands down, as far as the backdrop and everything. But I think, with the hotels, pretty regularly, they're $200 plus a night. Mm-hmm. And if you're going up for a couple nights, that adds another $400 to $500 to your budget, plus, entry fee, which it's no more expensive than if you go to a KPX race or anything else. So that's not really, a downfall or anything. So I just think it's, hour and a half away, and people don't really think about it too much, but we do try to support that group as well. And, obviously put them into all the rock packages because they're up at Sonoma. It's not easy anymore. I mean, it used to be everything followed one direction, and it's just not that way anymore. Every club kind of has their little niche. So we try to place them wherever that niche lands. So.
Yeah, it does make it a little bit complicated.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's to the point where it used to be in the past, in the good old days, where you just have, a cadet at full-size cart and kind of on the entry-level deal set up for people, and you can't really do that anymore just because you just don't know where that customer's coming from.
Yeah, you have to ask a lot of questions before you really pull the trigger on anything. Where are you going to race?
It's difficult. It's definitely difficult. More difficult than it used to be. You used to be able to guide people because there's 5 platforms you can go race and where you at. So many people used to come into the shop too, and it's like, well, I want a 125 shifter. I'm like, you don't. But, they didn't listen, and then 2 months later they're coming back, and it's like, well, I like racing, but this kicking my ass. And it's like, well, yeah, the tracks in NorCal don't really suit that too much.
Yeah, it's still that way. It's as I sell used carts on the side, and it's the guy wants a 125 or a 250. Oh, can I put a 500 on it? It's like, have you ever been to a kart race? It's like,
no.
Yeah.
No. But that's the other deal. I mean, it's like, it seems like every club races a different group of engine packages that are popular there. You go to Stockton and it's still, it's still clone racing. Davis, I think, has a little bit of clone, a little bit of 206, and maybe a little bit of, vintage, I call it. Anything's vintage is not 6 years new, right? So
yeah,
you can almost not pick parts up for them anymore when they get to that 6-year-old mark. Importers changed, and all of a sudden you're like, well, who do I get those parts from? It's like, yeah, I don't know. We'll check it out, but I don't think we're going to find them.
Yeah, because even the wholesalers, they just get to a certain point, and it's like, okay, I sold 2 of those brake pads last year.
Not putting them back on the shelf.
I'm not putting them back on the shelf.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the industry's changed a lot. Kind of, one thing that COVID's done for NorCal anyways is brought a lot of new people into the sport with a lot of used equipment. And it's kind of cool to see the tracks, thriving and making, new customers happy that, they're really not even out there to go racing. They're just having fun. And then, bought a $1,500 go-kart that, would have cost $10,000 10 years ago. And they're digging it, until they come in and they want to fix it and you can't. So,
yeah.
Send them to Jason.
Yeah. People do.
Yeah.
So Oliver, out of let's say the past, let's see, you said you were 18 or 19. So the past 5 years as a senior driver, what's been your favorite class in package?
It's always been the X30. I raced that for a long time. I raced it in juniors, and I really enjoyed it. I haven't done much X30 senior racing, actually. I believe I've literally just done the Pro Tour and maybe one Pro Kart race. But I had so much fun at the Pro Tour racing against the best guys. It really, really upped my game. I have to race. I have to improve if I want to be at that top level. And that's what I always wanted to do. I want to be the best I can. So I enjoy racing the X30.
Okay, so for you, it's not necessarily because of the engine package itself. It's the competitors on the track.
Yeah, it's the competition. Either engine package is pretty fun for me. There's the pros and cons of each.
But you've talked to me in the past about the comparison between X30 and the KA is that the KA you can just focus more on driving and not have to really worry about how to drive the engine. But then when you go to the X30 deal, it's so much of both have to be perfect. Instead of, the K's like a 206 on steroids, basically, add 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, I was actually, when they were, I think it was probably KPX when they were first talking about trying to bring it in and do the 100cc stuff. And they were going back and forth between like the 6-inch tires or the 7-inch tires. I ran the KA out there at Dixon. And I really enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like is I just feel with the 7-inch tire, it's just too much grip. Like I kind of wanted to be able to catch the kart a little bit, and maybe kind of like the old YDS days where you're just, grip is fun, but it's also fun to be able to, catch the kart and kind of get it through the corner properly without just relying on, I got grip in the tire.
Were you running a proper tire on it, Jason, or?
Oh yeah, it was there. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember if it was the MG or the Evenco, but
yeah. Well, so that's good. The Levanto is probably, I would say, the best tire on the market throughout the class because it's got such longevity and whatnot, but it's also really grippy. So I was asking you, were you on that tire? Because I could see where it would be like, oh, that's
no. It was one of the MG products, and I can't remember if it was the MG or the Evenco, but it was Harrison Mills's cart, and I remember it had the 7-inch rims on it. It's like, man, it's fun, but it's like, it was almost not challenging enough just to keep the rear end under it. It's like, okay, it's there, okay, and that, again, that's a Dixon, so it's.
But you run 28-second lap times.
Yeah, exactly. I think I did 26.5 or something.
Oh, that's not bad.
But so, what do you guys want to cover? I mean, we talked about racing. We talked about you're not quitting karting.
How do we grow the sport in NorCal?
We've hammered that one many times on this podcast.
Well, we can't grow it then.
Every shop needs to have rental carts. Every shop.
I agree with that.
Every shop needs to focus on a local track and just hammer it.
I think Ron White and Gary are doing really good at because of that at Sonoma, and it's definitely good to support a local track, no doubt. Yeah. We're going to just talking to Steve Bedelli today, which is one of my, because his kid's taking a little bit of a break, but he's one of the guys that I bring in, kind of like Ben. There's a group of people that I love working with because they're just hardcore. And we were talking today, and I think we're going to put a smaller, like a 20-foot trailer up at Prairie City and start doing driver development out of there and whatnot, to where we can hit it midweek kind of deal and go blow a bunch of laps in the summer after 5 and do some more work,
Yeah. And I think the other part of it too is the shops need to be creative that are, you can't go to the track and market to current racers expecting new customers.
No, but I think that's the toughest thing is, our sport that we love. And I mean, I've been doing it for 28 years. So it's always been called the best kept secret. So I think that anything we can all do and collaborate together as different shops, different chassis, and everything else to blow the sport up in Northern California would be a big help. I always say, one person can do great things, but many people can do, so much more.
Do you think things like this, like live streams and stuff like that, would help?
Yeah, I just had I spend quite a bit on, marketing and advertising and I just don't think anything we've been doing over the last year and a half, 2 years have really been hitting the spot. And I think that I was talking to Rob Howden about it yesterday, and I've talked to Kart Chaser about it. The video seems to be more appealing to people, to where they actually take a little bit of time out of their day and watch it live or go back and watch a podcast kind of deal. Mm-hmm. At least from my perspective, where people are like, oh, I watched you on Kart Chaser, or I watch you, on your one-on-one interview, and I'll get text messages. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool when you think about it. Because I don't get text messages when we tweet something. I mean, so I think more people pay attention because it's like, watch content instead of read it real quick and blow through it, So
I think this shows a perfect example of that.
Huh?
This shows a perfect example of that. I mean, up till a couple of weeks ago, all year long, I've been trying to figure out, how do I go live stream? I've wanted to do it. How do I do it? And then, I started watching the Kart Chaser stuff, and they do such a neat job and a different perspective of showing karting. It's like, man, that actually looks cool. Yeah.
Totally different take. And that's what I think is cool. We do with you guys, Kart Chaser, and then, e-karting news, and you all have like a different spin on what you see the sport at, to where there's super cool conversations that come out of it. And a lot of conversations, I don't know how many people are watching right now, but a lot of conversations that Jason and I might have on any given Saturday, nobody else hears it, so it opens people's eyes up quite a bit to, the possibilities of the sport. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll have Ashley. She's going to be working on videos for us. So it's like, as we're doing this kind of stuff, a video is going to flash up. Boom. How to get in the karting, reach out to Norcal Karters, how to do this, how to do that.
No, it's pretty cool. I mean,
Like
that's
Oliver, do you remember? Let's go back to Oliver real quick.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you got in a cart?
Yeah, I was at Stockton.
Is that
It
Stockton?
was a kid cart. Yeah.
Okay. Was it a cart that you had to buy? Do you remember if it was something your family had to borrow, or how did you actually get in that cart the first time?
I believe my dad already had one. He had a kid cart for my sister because my sister raced before me.
Okay.
So I think I just drove her cart. I obviously it's such a long time ago. I can't exactly remember, but I feel like I drove her cart, but
okay.
I could be wrong, but it was definitely one of our carts. It was owned by my dad. It wasn't somebody else's.
Okay. And how much older is your sister?
1 year.
Oh, okay. You're really close then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just witnessed something. I was just in Colombia, or no, I'm sorry, not Colombia, but Dominican Republic, and we were at a track that a wealthy gentleman built, but it's open to the public. I mean, it's private but public kind of deal, and that's a different country. I mean, it's everything is great people, great structure, but craziness at its best. It's just nuts. I've got a video. If I could post it right now, you'd be like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, it's absolute chaos. And driving there, I mean, there's no traffic lights or anything, so you have a 6-way deal coming into one another, and there's inches between cars trying to merge and go the different directions and stuff. So we're at this racetrack, and I look out of my customer's garage, and I'm like, "There's 10 kit carts on the track right now. It's Friday afternoon. What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh no, they do a class out. They do a ride and drive class out here with kit carters. The 10 or 12 carts that you can come and rent, and like literally they show up after school and go burn laps on these rental kid carts and do a little training and for a couple hours, and they go home." So I think that's pretty cool to me, because I mean, when you get kid carters into the sport, they typically enjoy it for quite a few years. At least you get through kid kart cadet and junior before they're driving F1 stuff in Italy. That seems to be the progression nowadays.
Yeah, and that is kind of the first step, right? Just getting people in the cart.
Yeah, so it's
Somehow.
pretty neat. And one of my buddies have been hounding me. It's like, "You need to go do this. You need to go do this." And I was just like, I don't see how it can be beneficial, And then I just right in front of my eyes, just like, wow, there it is right there. And 2 different days I watched different kids in it with different helmets pounding down. So they probably had 25 kids go through it in 2 days. And it's not summer over there.
Every kid cart ages.
Yeah, just all kid carts.
All kid cart.
Yeah.
All right. I have a question for Oliver. Okay. What is your favorite memory from a NorCal win? So any win in NorCal, favorite memory in your racing career?
I don't know if I have a specific win I can recall. I didn't do a lot of NorCal karting, so I won like little club stuff, but I don't remember those races.
Like your first.
It was a long time ago, actually. It was like 3 years ago.
Anything.
Are you asking us, Ashley?
I want to hear about the cute stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I have an answer. I
back
can't
when
remember.
you were a kid, what race would you be like, "Oh, I can't wait till I can race that"?
Specifically NorCal stuff.
You can say Supernats if it's super.
Yeah, it was always Supernats. I before I started racing nationally and regionally, I would only race the club stuff and like the WK or whatever it was in 2012. But I would go to the Supernats and watch, and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to race this race. This is like really cool. As a young kid, just going to the race to watch is still pretty amusing. I think a lot of the younger drivers here should just go and experience the other side of racing and just go to, hang out and watch the racing. It's good racing. It's fun time. You're in Vegas. So
yeah,
it's always good.
Good point.
Vegas is it's not even a race. I mean, it's not to demean from the race. It's an experience.
Yeah.
And there's been many times when I was working at Sweet Tech, people say, "Oh, you think I should go to Vegas?" And say, I would tell customers, like, you shouldn't race down there. No, I mean, I think that would be a disservice to go down there and race when you have no idea what you're walking into. But go down for 2 or 3 days and just take in the environment first. And I mean, it's a circus that rolls in, and not a circus in an unorganized bad way, but I mean, it's just, I mean, all of us are so used to it now because we've been around it for so long. But for that new guy, I mean, it's overwhelming just pulling into the pits and going, holy shit. I mean, what are all these semis doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the thing I hear a lot when I show people like videos or share anything like that is like, oh, I didn't know that many people were interested in this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
So,
like Greg said earlier, the best kept secret.
I think it's the biggest Vegas Supernats to me, and probably not forever, but definitely of the late. It's bigger than the World Championships in Italy. I mean, it's just a different level of racing, but on a track that you can't attack every single day of the week getting ready for it. So it really brings out the best in everybody's ability, because, you know, it's so fast paced, and people, I had a customer from Hawaii walk into my tent this week and, you know, sit there and try to chit chat. And I was like, trying to be nice but it was like on that 5-second rule where you rolled into the trailer, looked at some data, and you went over to whoever just came off the racetrack, give them a little bit of a deal, and you have to go back to the racetrack because more people are going on. And it's 530 entries, you know, 60 plus deep in every single class, to where half of the field can win. And all the best drivers from America that can afford to make that happen. But then you have, you know, kids from Europe that are world champions and everything else coming here too to race it, because they know the prestige of this race. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where else you can go to experience karting at the absolute. I wish it was that way every single weekend, everywhere we went. And it, you know, it's not, obviously, but it would be so cool if that's where we were back at again. I mean, it used to be, we used to get 220 entries out at Stockton at a club race.
Yeah.
It was insane.
There used to be races everywhere, every weekend.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
you were just going
150, 180 at an IKF, just standard race, was pretty much par for so many years coming up in NorCal. I mean, we used to turn out some of the most talented professional drivers now, but then, you know, out of the proving grounds, and everybody used to say, it's like, oh, you're from NorCal, you know, or you're from California, because that many amazing drivers came out from all the racing we used to do with such big fields.
Yeah. Well, and we still have a lot of good racers in NorCal.
Oh, no, I'm not saying like that.
Unfortunately, we're exporting them.
Yeah.
We're not using them to keep them local and bringing people to us.
Yeah.
You know, we're exporting them and chasing the talent elsewhere.
Well, everybody wants to race against the best, and the best run organization, and, you know, the most inviting, I guess, or not inviting, but best competition. And when you have numbers, that kind of happens without saying.
Yeah.
But when you're struggling to make numbers, yeah, I think that in today's world, that a couple of things that happened over probably the last 6 or 8 years, but since everything is 2008, people have a different level of work ethic. Well, I should say from 2008 to 2020, people had a different. I mean, you almost lost everything in 2008 because of the downturn, right? So everything that was discretionary income that wasn't being spent, because, like, I just lived through something I don't want to see again, right? And I don't want to be not prepared for it. So everybody's hour is worth so much more to them today. And I've said it for years that we need to lower the amount of classes, and Donald's killing it. That's why he's growing at Prairie City. But you need to lower the amount of classes per race day, give more laps, get it done. Because if you can go to a club race on a Saturday, Sunday, and go, okay, we're going to do practicing in the afternoon, and we're going to go hit the club race on Sunday because we know the track, and then we're going to roll through the whole race day in 6 hours, and get them home and, mowing the lawn before the game comes on at 5:00. That's a home run for these guys because they make so much money. And you look at it and you're like going, if you can afford to race today, you're making a good living, period.
Wow.
So you look at that and you're like, but you're making a good living and working a day or spending 6 hours at a track and spending $500. Which one are you going to do? And most of them are like, I'm working. I'm not giving $500 up. So.
All right, Calvo. Any final thoughts, shout outs? Anybody you want to say hey to?
Oh, I have an answer for you now on my favorite win in NorCal.
Okay, let's hear it.
It was a KPX race, I think 2019. It was a KA senior. It was one of my first KA senior races. I raced against Austin Elliott and Wesley Boswell, and I beat them. I was like 15 or 16, and I beat them. And they were trying to rough me up, and I roughed them back up, and then it was pretty fun. So that was a fun race for me because I watched those guys growing up. I'd go to the stand. I remember watching like 2012, I think it was, and I was in the stands watching Austin Elliott race in tag senior at the highest level, and he was running at the very front that year. And I just remember watching, and it was pretty cool. And everybody knows Wesley Boswell is like a legend in all of karting. This guy's been around forever, so it was to race against them was good, and then to beat them was even better. So that was fun for me.
World tire changing champion.
Yeah.
5 times running. 19
seconds.
Yeah.
What else can you do that fast?
All right. Any shout outs, Oliver?
I want to thank Greg Bell and Leading Edge. Everybody at the team has helped me develop a lot as a person and a driver over the past 2 years. So, without them, I don't know where I'd be. I also owe a lot to Glenn and Christina Araki from PKS. They're running the CCKRA deal now. They helped me get to where I was as well. I think they really taught me how to go fast and race. And then Greg taught me all the off-track stuff and just how to manage everything better and just be more calm and all that. So, I owe it a lot to both of them or all of those people. Those are like the main people. And I've had mechanics, like obviously your husband, Josh. Josh has been there since I was young. He's been helping me a long time. Jesus, P1, just all those people have always been behind me, supporting me. And I can't thank them enough.
Oliver,
looking back on it. Yeah.
Nobody knows all those people. You got to name them.
All right. Jesus Vasquez from P1. There's Greg Bell from Leading Edge, Glenn and Christina Araki from PKS. They don't run that anymore, I don't believe. So they run the CCKRA deal. And then also Josh Velaz and my parents. So
real quickly, Oliver, on the CCKRA, did you ever run the Fresno track?
Yes, I did.
The temporary track?
Yeah.
What did you think about that track?
The surface wasn't the best, but I did enjoy racing there. I had fun racing there. I'd go there a lot, actually. I think racing that actually helped me somewhat in the temporary tracks for like Supernats and Lancaster because I was already comfortable racing around barriers. So, it wasn't any different going from Fresno parking lot to Las Vegas. I remember in cadets, I would actually go to Fresno and do like the final CCKRA race in preparation for Supernats just because I was racing with the barriers and it helped me.
Did you win a nationals there?
The IKF nationals?
IKF nationals.
Yeah, I did. KA Junior, I won a Duffy there.
Yeah.
How many of those do you have?
I believe I have 10 Duffys and maybe 6 Screaming Eagles, I want to say.
You have 10 Duffys and I didn't know who you were yesterday?
Exactly.
Exactly.
What are you saying, Jason?
I'm out of touch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm out of touch.
Yeah.
All
right.
I thought you were from SoCal. Who cares?
Greg, do you have any shout outs before we sign off?
Just my whole team. And we had a really stellar, I think, 2021. They made it a lot of fun for me. Sometimes that's the balance of, wanting to continue doing what we do and not. And the people surrounding me now, team-wise, driver-wise, and parents and mechanics are some of the best I've ever worked with over the last 30 years. So I can't name them all.
All right. Shout out Leading Edge.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming on. Tell your friends it was fun. We'll see you guys later. You guys can hop on off. Jason's going to close the show in 5 minutes. And we'll see you later. We'll be in touch, Greg.
Thanks for having us on. It was
No,
Thanks
thanks
for
for
having
coming
me.
on. I mean, I enjoy it. I think that's when I started these podcasts a couple of years ago. It was to get to know the racers and the teams and the people behind the scenes. And I always enjoy doing these.
Well, NorCal needs to support Norcal Karters because without it, we have zero news in Northern California.
Yeah.
Should open up the wide open forums again. Chris Scribner's
Not
wide
gonna
open
happen.
forums. Moderator.
Quickly, funny story. So Chris approached me and says, "Hey, I see what you're doing with your thing. We're done with Norcal Karters. Do you want to take it over?" And it's like, well, I mean, there were some good assets, and I have his old hard drive, and nice. I kind of want to go through it and just kind of like Throwback Thursday, start throwing stuff up. And the very first thing he said is, he goes, "Do not do a forum."
No, that's because he got his balls kicked in every time people got out of control on it. But
yeah, and it's kind of a combination of things. It's like, one, you have social media that kind of, for the most part, with the jibber jabber, eliminated the forum jibber jabber because everyone's on social media. They have their group, they have their page or whatever. But then two, the way I look at it, and Greg, you know me well. You and I mean, you've had to shut my mouth a few times. I run my mouth. So it's like I can get attracted to that side of it as well. But when I was doing the Norcal Karter things, like, how does that ever help the sport? And whether it's all tongue in cheek and fun, etc., or it's even, more where, you have some promoters just trying to hide it and bury it. It's just really not good for the sport anyway. So I was like, I won't really be doing a forum.
Good point. I was joking.
Oh, I know. I know. But there's a lot of people that miss it. When I look back at it, the people that were on the forums, most of them aren't at the track right now.
No.
I mean,
it's because all the people that could help on the forums got their, kicked in, and we're like, what are we doing that for? We're just trying to help. Now we're in a war about tire pressure.
Yeah. Or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of.
So I think there definitely is a valid place for forums like what Kart Pulse is doing, where it's a place to go for information.
I don't even know, what do those guys do?
It's run by James McMahon, and it was he really just missed. I don't even know if I can say this, but fuck it. I mean, he really missed the old EKN format of the forums, where there was a whole community on EKN and people were helping each other, and it was a very lively forum community that they used to have.
Do they even have that anymore?
No, they have it, but it dropped after they did their revamp a number of years ago.
Yeah,
and James really missed that aspect of it.
Yeah,
and so he started building it and trying to build it back up. And I don't know how many times I have a weird tech question.
You go into
like MCP brakes or Paul Martin's or whatever they're called. Is it silicone brake fluid or is it .3, .4? It's like, boom, Kart Pulse pops right up because someone had a whole write-up on it.
That's different, and it can be different in the same caliper because of the way it was built.
Yes.
Especially for MCP.
Yeah, so just stuff like that. I mean, it's just like, I think there's a use for forums.
There is. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It would be kind of cool to have something like that, especially for all the new people we have coming up through the sport in 206 that had a place to be like you, like maybe don't know about Kart Pulse, that can be like, oh, they have 4-stroke forums. I'm going to get on there and, hey, what's the best stall speed for my clutch? I mean,
yeah.
And then it was kind of cool in the past. We'd get in and and then you really almost get a new customer because you went and helped out a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
And when you saw at the racetrack, they'd make it a point to say, hey, is this who I helped? And it was cool. A way to get to know people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still a good way to do it, getting out there supporting people. And that's in the works for Norcal Karters too. Is a resources page where it's just that quick information.
Yeah.
So, but sorry, I hijacked it. But thank you, Greg, for coming on. Oliver, thank you for coming on. Ashley, thanks for taking my butt around.
No problem.
I do appreciate it.
You guys have a nice evening.
Thanks,
too.
you
Thanks,
too,
Greg.
Greg.
Make
Bye,
karting great
Calvo.
again.
Yes,
Make karting
do
great
that.
again.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having us.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. Are you guys dropping off?
See you later.
There goes Oliver. There goes Greg. You staying on or are you taking off?
Yeah. Are you signing off?
I'm going to sign off.
All right. Peace,
All
NorCal.
right. And everyone else that's around, just remember, if you get one person into the sport, it'll double. It's such a simple equation. Get one person into the sport next year, the sport will double. And if you need a hand getting someone in the sport, reach out to me, norcalkarters@gmail.com, Facebook, YouTube. We have how-to videos on the YouTube page. Probably the best way is email, phone, YouTube, Messenger on Facebook, norcalkarters.com. So again, everybody get one person in the sport. Next year it'll double.
Yeah. And if there's something you want to talk about, come on the show.
There you go. So there's your open invite. So if you have something relevant to Northern California karting, come on the show.
All right.
And with that, peace out.